Hello, friends, and thank you as always for visiting the Legend Sports Universe YouTube channel, Legend Sports Universe, where legends play forever. I appreciate you tuning in here for the second of 3 opening weekend episodes of the new Stuff of Legends podcast. Last night's debut episode covered the upcoming Legend Sports Universe Football League playoffs for Year 2. Also necessarily dealt with a lot of what I termed as housekeeping issues, retiring the franchise star's name, revealing the new Legend Sports Universe project logos, and laying out our roadmap to a unified timeline within the LSU. If you missed the logistics, check out episode 1. But if the LSU itself is the heart of Stuff of Legends, tonight we get to the soul of it. See, I also addressed what this podcast is going to be and made the promise that Stuff of Legends will not just be about the Legend Sports universe itself, but rather a celebration of both sports sim gaming and sports history, finding the places my and each of our created worlds intersect with the real life sports world, both past and present. The deep dives into more than the stars that I take into my projects here in the LSU parallel the deep dives I, and I'm confident most in this hobby, take into sports history, its players and stories. After all, those players and stories, memories both joyous and heartbreaking, are why we embrace the sports simulation hobby in all our myriad approaches with the fervor that we do. And so, with that goal for Stuff of Legends in mind, we go all in on that with one of history's greatest pitchers, putting up one of the Legend Sports universe's greatest seasons, and suffering one of the LSU's greatest collapses, and the parallels with real history, with our first installment of a regular feature on Stuff of Legends, Drama in Real Life. Robert Moses Lefty Grove was arguably the most dominant, if not the greatest, pitcher in baseball history. A hard throwing left hander with a famously fiery temper, his 17-year career was a masterclass in excellence. Rome's 680 winning percentage, 300 wins against 141 losses, is the highest among 300 game winners, and no one has matched his record 9 ERA titles. After a delayed major league debut at age 25, he immediately asserted his dominance, leading the American League in strikeouts for his first 7 seasons. Grove anchored the Philadelphia Athletics dynasty, starring in 3 World Series and winning 2, before continuing his stellar career with the Boston Red Sox. Pitching effectively in notorious hitters' parks like Shibe Park and Fenway Park, his peak came in 1931 when he won the American League Most Valuable Player award with a remarkable 31-4 record. This sustained brilliance earned him a first ballot induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1947. Lefty Grove was an absolute monster for the 4-time AL West champion Oakland A's in year 4 here in the Legend Sports Universe Baseball League. 26-2, a 2.24 ERA, a 1.02 whip, 226 strikeouts in 241 and a third innings. Grove won his first 22 decisions. Yes, he was 22-0 at one point, not suffering a loss until September. Staggering, even considering the A's are by far the most talented team in a relatively weak American League West. He was the runaway American League outstanding pitcher and, as he was in real life in 1931, the most valuable player for LSUBL Year 4. The 113-win A's set an LSUBL record, and their first-round draw against the wild-card Red Sox would serve as a shot at redemption after the Red Sox ousted them in year 2. But Grove was fairly mortal in September, going 2-2 with a 5.55 ERA over his final 4 starts. And there was a thought in the back of many a mind that the ace was cooling off at precisely the wrong time. When he struck out Mookie Betts to open Game 1 of the American League Division Series, however, those fears dissipated for a while. Ted Williams struck a 2-out double, and Grove left him stranded. He allowed a leadoff single in the second, but got a double play, then repeated that feat in the third. He allowed a walk to Williams and then a runner to reach on an error in the fourth, before inducing a double play for the third straight inning. He'd walk John Valentin to lead off the fourth, but escape again. Sure, Grove was making the big pitch when he needed to, but he was clearly not his dominant self. And in the sixth, the Sox broke through. Williams would reach on a one-out single. Reggie Smith would dunk a single in front of Ricky Henderson in left on a play that many felt Ricky should have gotten to. Then Jimmy Collins singled to load the bases for Valentin, who would stroke a two-run single to break the scoreless tie. After four straight hits and two runs in the sixth, Grove was done. Collins would later score, and Grove would finish with a line of 5 1/3 innings, 3 runs, 8 hits, 2 walks, and only one strikeout in an eventual 3-1 defeat that saw him outdueled by Cy Young. That pair would lock up again in a deciding Game 5, and Grove's sumptuous season would end on the sourest of notes. Boston's lineup torched Grove for 5 runs in the second inning, a 2-run single from 9-hole hitter Dolby Moore, followed by a 2-out, 3-run homer from John Valentin, setting a wildfire that burned World Series hopes for the winningest pitcher in LSUBL history, for the winningest team in LSUBL history, to the ground in an eventual 7-1 defeat. Grove allowed 6 runs on 5 hits and 3 walks over 3 innings. After a 26-2 regular season, his ALDS line 0-2, a 9.72 ERA, a 2.16 whip, and an off-season of regret. Now, modern baseball fans see this stat line and hear this story, and surely there's one touchstone reference point: Clayton Kershaw. For 2 decades, Kershaw was the surest thing in baseball from April to September. 3 Cy Youngs, an MVP, and a career ERA that rivals the dead ball era legends. But we all know the shadow that follows him. His postseason ERA is more than 2 full runs higher than his regular season mark. We've seen the implosions: the seventh inning against the Cardinals in 2014, the back-to-back homers to the Nationals in 2019, the 6-run first inning disaster against Arizona in 2023. It's a narrative of a big inning unraveling a masterpiece, exactly like the 5-run inning the Red Sox put on Grove in Game 5. But here is why I'm rejecting the Kershaw comparison. Kershaw's track record is a career-long pattern of heartbreak. My version of Lefty Grove hasn't earned that label yet. He's actually been decent, if not spectacular, in previous postseasons. We aren't looking for a career choker. We are looking for a specific moment in time, an invincible team, an invincible pitcher, and a sudden, shocking collapse. So our comp isn't Kershaw. Rather, it's Cleveland Indians Hall of Famer Bob Lemon, specifically his 1954 campaign. Lemon went 23-7 for the 111-win Indians, but in a World Series against the New York Giants, he went 0-2, dropping Game 1 and Game 4 as the Giants swept. Now, to be fair, the Game 1 start saw Lemon pitch into the 10th inning before surrendering the one-out walk-off 3-run homer to Dusty Rhodes in a 5-2 loss. So it was by no means a horrible start. But in Game 4, Lemon was blistered. He allowed 6 runs, 5 earned, over 4+ innings, was pulled after loading the bases with none out in the 5th on a walk to Willie Mays. He was touched for 7 hits and walked 3. That 1954 Indians team was, like Grove's A's here in the LSUBL, loaded. Larry Doby smacked 32 homers and drove in 126 runs. Al Rosen topped the 100 RBI plateau as well. And Bobby Avila had a sensational season, batting .341. The staff was terrific as well, led by Lemon's fellow 23-game winner Early Wynn and the always solid Mike Garcia, as well as a late career, but still terrific, Bob Feller. They also had, in his last full season, Hal Newhouser, the former Tigers great, who served as a reliever for that 1954 squad, and who was the man who replaced Lemon once he was pulled in Game 4. Those Indians were the only team with two 11-game winning streaks in the same season until the 2015 Blue Jays matched the feat, and their World Series loss to the Giants would be the end of postseason baseball in Cleveland until 1995. There you can see the comparative stats between Lefty Grove's LSUBL Year 4 playoff numbers and Bob Lemon's 1954 postseason numbers. Both pitchers went 0-2, both posted unsightly ERAs and really unsightly whip totals. 1.8 for Lemon, 2.16 for Lefty Grove. That is not going to get it done. Lemon did have his usual control problems, although he actually did strike out more batters than was usual for him. Grove only struck out four in those 8 and a third innings. But again, you just kind of see this was a fitting comparison between the two, given Lemon's regular season success in 1954. Now, Lemon and Grove were very different pitchers. And though a Hall of Famer, Lemon wasn't on Grove, or for that matter, Kershaw's level. But that's not a knock on Lemon as much as it is a compliment to Grove and Kershaw. Lemon led the league in wins 3 times, innings 4 times, and complete games 5 times. But he never won an ERA title as Kershaw, who won 5, or Grove, who won 9, did. But that 54 comparison, for our purposes here, struck me as the best fit. Interestingly, Lemon is in his second year as part of the LSUBL, taken in the year 3 rookie draft. He currently sits at AAA with the Indians, hoping for someone on the big club to falter so he can get a shot. He's 6-3 with a 3.57 ERA in the minors. By the way, I mentioned Grove's overall history as being why I didn't want to work with the Kershaw comparison. If you're curious as to Grove's overall LSUBL playoff numbers, he's 4-7 with a 3.9 ERA, a 1.14 whip, 59 strikeouts in 85 and a third innings, 85 hits, so roughly a hit per inning, and he's walked only 12. Very solid, even if unspectacular. Grove will certainly get more postseason opportunities with the powerful A's squad, and time will tell if the history he'll craft for himself here in the Legend Sports universe will be better or worse than it's been to this point. Oh, yeah. As for Kershaw, his career LSUBL postseason stats 2-2, a 2.32 ERA, and a sparkling 1.03 whip. I never said I was perfect. Lefty Grove provides a perfect jumping on point to tonight's Shop Talk segment, the focus of which is the biggest myth in sports gaming overall ratings. Grove had a remarkable season in the LSUBL, as he has for all 4 seasons and the 5th year that is ongoing, and as he had virtually annually in real life. He's probably as close to a worthy 99 as you could get, barring occasional wildness. But even with that, he still was in the top 10 in fewest walks per 9 innings 10 times in his career. Even so, this should be extremely rarefied air, if done properly. I have long held the belief that overall ratings are generally lazy, not well thought out, and a bit of a cop out on the part of developers. While plenty of text based games carry overall ratings of some sort with them, this is really a more prevalent issue in dealing with the console games. And it's become an even bigger issue as TV networks like ESPN have made game ratings a thing. There are full fledged Madden ratings reveals, and social media is full of reactions from players across all sports, weighing in on their particular overall rating in a game, whether it's Madden or NBA 2K or MLB The Show. As sports networks have sought to convey a buddy buddy relationship with the athletes they cover, and as players have spoken out more about their ratings, it stands to reason that a certain pressure comes upon developers to appease top players they may want to have promote their game or speak well of it. Players lobby Madden representatives for their ratings. We've seen that happen. I remember watching HBO's Hard Knocks and seeing guys accost a Madden rep seeking a better score. That's not my biggest reason for disliking overall ratings. The real reason is more basic. They're lazy and they're wrong. I believe the OVR number is a cop out. It exists because developers don't think you, the user, are smart enough to evaluate a player. They think you need a single number to tell you who is good, so you can hit sort, scan the list, and pick the guy on the top and move on. The notion of the overall rating has gotten increasingly ridiculous and unnecessary, in my opinion, with the ever increasing depth these games provide in terms of scouting and analysis. Companies give gamers every tool imaginable to evaluate players at this point. You send scouts all over the country, all over the globe in some cases, giving them a set of parameters and trying to find players that meet those. This isn't 1985 gaming anymore. And yet, while these games tout these developments, which are positives, make no mistake, they also provide the cop out of the overall rating. Particularly bothersome to me are the 99 overall rated players. To me, that's a perfect player, and the perfect player doesn't exist. The microcosm of the flaws of overall ratings exists within the 99 overall player. For example, Juan Soto is a 99 in MLB The Show. Now, nobody can deny that Soto is a generational talent, an eventual Hall of Famer, and a dominant player. But the concept of a 99 overall rating is hard to swallow for a player who is a below average defender. How can, if OVR is to be believed, a perfect player be a below average defender? It's not that Soto's ratings are off. He's pretty properly rated, actually. His defense ranks somewhere in the 70s, and he has, of course, his exceptional hitting. But rather, it's the notion that a position player who is subpar can possibly have the highest overall rating attainable in the game. Josh Allen is 26th in the NFL in interception percentage among qualifying quarterbacks. Allen is a great, outstanding player. But a perfect rating to a turnover prone quarterback, the sport's most important position, is silly. His real life stats say that he makes plenty of mistakes. That is the nuance that gets lost once the overall rating becomes a thing. Wayne Gretzky, universally considered the greatest hockey player of all time, wasn't strong defensively. Now, he wasn't asked to be, let's be clear, that's not a knock on Gretzky. But again, a flawless player rating represents a flawless player, or at least it should. I don't need to see a 99 OVR to see that Gretzky is an impeccable talent. His high 90s ratings and everything else offense related, perhaps even 99s in some cases, make that clear without the OVR rating being needed. And now, to be clear, I don't mind a 99 for a given category, a given rating. For the most extreme cases, Babe Ruth's home run power, Willie Pep's defense, George Foreman's punching power. But an elite talent always has a relative weakness alongside it, hence my loathing of the 99 overall. It presents a false picture and an unnecessary one. Every player has strengths and weaknesses, even the best ones. The concept of an overall rating is misguided because it eliminates the nuance of player evaluation, minimizes or overvalues certain characteristics, or, in the worst of those cases, does both. The concept of the overall rating also creates the pitfall where anyone creating player ratings, and this surely includes those doing it in the employ of Electronic Arts, 2K, or Sony, among others, use the overall as a target. If you are building a roster and you decide in your head this player should be an 88, and then you do your attribute calculations and they only come out to an 84, you start cheating. You start bumping up his speed or his awareness just to inflate that overall number until it matches the 88 you had in your head going in. Scientifically, we bash that at every turn. No reason we should accept it here. You basically defy your own math to chase a marketing number. Overall ratings can also manipulate how players are managed because instinct is to manage on reputation, which too often is the basis of the overall rating, rather than the performance of the player. I suppose my perspective is that I dislike the dumbing down of anything, and I feel like overall ratings do just that. They lack thought, they lack nuance, and are deployed for ease rather than effectiveness. Overall, I think they're a negative. Heading to our Across the Universe segment, covering what's going on presently in the Legend Sports universe, we keep up the baseball theme with a journey around year 5 of the LSUBL. We start off in the American League, where the Oakland A's once again are putting up the best record in the league. Coming off a league record 113 win campaign a year ago, they've gotten slugging from home run leader Reggie Jackson and continued dominant pitching from the game's best rotation. Leading that charge has been Rube Waddell, who, after watching Lefty Grove's remarkable 26-2 season in year 4, in which he started a stunning 22-0, has gone 11-0 himself to this point, as he makes a push for his second Outstanding Pitcher award, having earned the honor in the league's first season as well. Of course, the A's regular season record isn't where the attention will lie, as their annual hike to the top of the standings mountain hasn't yielded a title since year 1. In the East, the defending champion Red Sox have Ted Williams posting his best year, and he seems like a legitimate MVP contender as he takes the next step from great to extraordinary. But despite the splendid Splinter's brilliance to this point, the Sox sit a game below 500 and are again looking up at the Yankees atop the division. Sure, the Sox were the wild card team when they won the World Series a year ago, but the Yankees this season, a recent slide notwithstanding, seem to have all the pieces. Rookie Lefty Gomez has been terrific, and the offseason trade for Robin Ventura from the White Sox has seemingly stopped the revolving door at third from spinning. Gomez, as the third component behind Ron Guidry and Whitey Ford, gives the Yankees a postseason ready trio atop the rotation. Aaron Judge, like Williams, has taken that next step, leading the league in batting and OPS. When the Minnesota Twins went on their stunning 24-4 run to end year 4 and chased down the Detroit Tigers for the American League Central title, it was the product of a team that simply made very few mistakes and pitched. Not much has changed this season for Minnesota, whose staff, led the last 2 years by Johan Santana and Bert Blyleven, has seen Jim Cott get off to a stellar start, leading the American League in ERA at a sparkling 1.90. Santana is at 2.35, and Blyleven at 2.45, making the best rotation in baseball through the first 2 months. The Tigers took a while to shake off last season's collapse, opening this season at a putrid 5-14. They're 28-15 since, a 651 clip. The acquisition of John Olerud from Toronto in a deal that sent popular outfielder Curtis Granderson north of the border has worked well, with the steady Olerud batting .296. Al Kaline has labored through the first 2 months, but showed signs of picking it up in the final week of May. Pitching has lagged behind, with both Hal Newhouser and Justin Verlander trying to shake off slow starts. One pitcher who's been sensational, closer Bobby Thigpen, acquired last year in the Mickey Tettleton trade from the White Sox, who has 20 saves and a 0.47 ERA so far. On the National League side, the San Francisco Giants are in the unaccustomed position of not being the reigning National League champs. After 3 straight NL pennants, the Giants were upset by the Cubs a year ago, and they have responded by posting the best record in the National League so far. Willie Mays has 2 MVP awards. Willie McCovey has 1. And Mel Ott is so far making his bid at his first, off to a terrific start that has him second in homers and fifth in RBIs. They have a half-game lead on the Philadelphia Phillies for the league's best record, as Philadelphia has Slidin' Billy Hamilton looking for his second batting title, leading the batting race at .359. Year 3 MVP Chuck Klein is batting .339 and leading the league with 56 RBIs. And Grover Alexander leads the pitching staff with 9 wins already in his sophomore campaign. The defending NL champion Cubs are in a dogfight once again in the always tight NL Central, where they trail the Pittsburgh Pirates by a game and a half. Chicago has Bill Lang off to a great start, batting .316 and leading the league in steals with 25. And Bill Nicholson, who has slugged 16 homers already in his second season. Ron Santo sits third in the league in RBIs with 45. Chicago is tied for second in the National League in batting average, tied with the Pirates, who are being led by Roberto Clemente batting .333 and Willie Stargell with 17 homers. But the Buccos continue to surprise with the quality of their pitching. They have the third best ERA in baseball, led by rookie Jesse Tannehill, lefty cannonball Ed Morris, and Deacon Philippe at 2.88. Standout rookies so far are led by Nolan Arenado of the Rockies, who leads the National League with 19 homers, 13 of them at Coors Field. The Expos' answer to their massive trade-off last season at the deadline was the expectation new draftee Oscar Charleston would lead them going forward. Though his average sits at .248 at the moment, he has 14 homers and has been strong both in center field and at first base. The Cincinnati Reds are waiting for rookie Tony Perez to get comfortable, and he's shown signs of that recently. He now has 11 homers. While rookie bats reside in the National League, rookie pitchers are wreaking havoc on the American League. The Yankees' Lefty Gomez is 8-2 with a 3.18 ERA and has the inside track on Rookie of the Year at this point. But the Red Sox' Roger Clemens has a 2.67 ERA and is tied for the eighth in strikeouts, while Cleveland's Bob Feller is 5-1 with a 3.32 ERA and is striking out more than a batter per inning. The Orioles' Jim Palmer is at 3.29 and sits at 6-5. Surprise, surprise! The National League's best rookie pitcher is also this across the universe's surprise player. The Marlins' Pablo Lopez, who has formed a potent 1-2 punch with Jose Fernandez atop the Marlins rotation, going 7-2 with a league-best 1.64 ERA so far. The Venezuelan right-hander doesn't walk guys, and so far he hasn't really allowed much of anything. A reason for future hope for the cellar-dwelling Marlins. On the injury front, the Indians will still be without former outstanding pitcher Addy Joss for another month with a shoulder issue, while the Twins are hoping to get Heine Manush, who followed a strong rookie campaign last season with an attention-grabbing postseason run, back in the next 2 weeks after a month on the injured list. In Cincinnati, catcher Ernie Lombardi is due back this week from his broken hand suffered 2 weeks into the season. And the Orioles just got Bobby Grich, the All-Star second baseman, back after a month-long stint. But the latest injury is the most significant. The Atlanta Braves have lost Ronald Acuna Jr. for the second time in 3 years, this time with a broken arm that should keep him out until around the All-Star break. The Braves' pitching has, predictably, been stellar, led by Greg Maddux and Warren Spahn, who are a combined 18-5 with a 2.04 ERA. But taking Acuna out of the offense, which has taken a step back after the questionable offseason trade of Wally Burger to Kansas City, hinders it considerably, to say the least. That Acuna injury is a devastating blow for Atlanta, and it highlights how quickly fortunes can change, which brings us to the most important non-playoff event on the LSUBL calendar, the rookie draft. As the calendar turns to June, we will find out the 5 new players, 4 from their master pools and 1 Negro Leaguer, who will join each franchise in year 6. 18 Hall of Famers join the FSBL in year 4. 13 joined in year 5. How many will join for year 6? And do any join your team? Tune in Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern and find out. On tomorrow night's opening weekend finale edition of Stuff of Legends, we step into the ring as boxing rules the day. The drama in real life segment returns, this time with a focus on the classic middleweight trilogy between Tony Zale and Rocky Graziano. That will tie into our Across the Universe segment, which will update the Legend Sports Universe Boxing Federation tournaments, including the Universe's tournament quarterfinal bout between Zale and Graziano. How close to history does it come? Tune in to find out. Shop Talk will discuss the implementation of Title Bout's control factor rating in developing fighters for the console portions of this three-headed monster LSUBF project, and we'll take our first look around the horn as projects from the others in the community that have caught my eye recently get some notice. Thanks as always, everyone. Kindly like, subscribe, and most importantly, be good to each other, and I'll see you tomorrow night for the next episode of Stuff of Legends.